Chapter 1. You are listening at Novel Full. Audio. Woman, what tricks are you playing again? My dear sister, I'm marrying your ex-husband, Pei Yuchen, next month. Since you don't want such a good man, I can only thank you for helping me. By the way, you've done so much for Su Ziheng. You stole the secrets of your ex-husband's company for him and even secretly met him. It's a pity that he only treats you like a dog. You're so stupid. You really shouldn't be alive. So, I'll take off your oxygen mask for you. My good sister, you'd better stay away from me in the next life. Otherwise, you'll end up worse. No, Ning Mengmeng screamed and opened her eyes. However, the next moment, she met his cold eyes. The man looked at her with a bloodthirsty smile, and then an extremely cold voice was heard. No. Ning Mengmeng, how do you want to die? Hiss, the huge impact made Ning Mengmeng feel extremely painful, but when she saw Pei Yuchen, she was completely stunned. What happened? Weren't they divorced? Didn't she get into a serious car accident and lie on the hospital bed, unable to move anymore? Moreover, she was wearing an oxygen mask. She remembered that her half-sister Ning Yusher had come to visit her and ridiculed her. In the end, she had even ruthlessly taken off her oxygen mask and sent her to her death. But now... You. Ning Mengmeng's heart was beating faster and faster, but she couldn't care less. Instead, she looked at the man in front of her in shock. Pei Yuchen stared at her coldly, his cold face was on the verge of exploding with rage. Even his eyes were filled with rage. Ning Mengmeng, you should be glad that you didn't spend a night with Su Ziheng. Otherwise, your entire family would be buried with you. Ning Mengmeng's pupils constricted. One night with Su Ziheng. Wait. This scene was so familiar. Ah. She remembered. She had once met Su Ziheng secretly and was caught by her husband, Pei Yuchen. He then brought her back and forcefully touched her. Because of this matter, she had gone on a hunger strike for a few days. Pei Yuchen was so angry that he left and moved to the company. So. Was she dreaming, or reborn? Seeing that she was distracted, the man's expression turned colder and he suddenly increased his strength. Ning Mengmeng sucked in a cold breath. No, it wasn't a dream. The pain was too real. She was reborn. In her previous life, she must have been blind to believe the words of that adulterous couple. She had harmed herself and Pei Yuchen. No matter what, she had to make good use of this life. Ning Mengmeng took a deep breath and hugged the man's neck. The aura that the man was giving off made her feel even more reborn. Ning Mengmeng's nose was slightly sour. Chen, I was wrong. I won't do it again. Pei Yuchen's heart skipped a beat. Her soft voice moved his heart. But the next moment, his eyes turned cold and he sneered at Ning Mengmeng. Woman, what are you playing at this time? Ning Mengmeng quickly shook her head, her expression firm. I'm not. Pei Yuchen was only 24 years old, but he was already the #1 CEO in the empire. He was rich, powerful, and handsome. She must have been blind to like that illegitimate son, Su Ziheng. Pei Yuchen's pupils constricted. However, he seemed to have realized something in the next moment. His fierce expression was like a knife that could pierce through her face at any moment. He looked at her coldly. Do you think I'll grant your wish just because you're trying to please me? The cold voice made Ning Mengmeng's expression change. She suddenly felt a headache. Sigh. She had betrayed him too many times before. If she were to say this now, she would not believe it either. It seemed that she could only use time to prove it. Ning Mengmeng took a deep breath and hugged the man's neck tightly. She looked straight at him. Pei Yuchen, listen carefully. She paused for a moment and looked extremely serious. I, Ning Mengmeng, will only love you, Pei Yuchen, in this life. I will never have anything to do with him again. If I betray you, I'm willing to die in your hands. After she finished speaking, Ning Mengmeng ignored the man's strange gaze and hugged him tightly, directly giving him her cherry lips. Chapter 2. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Waiting for you below the dormitory. When Ning Mengmeng woke up, the room was already bright. Looking at the familiar yet unfamiliar ceiling, she was a little confused. Really? It wasn't a dream. She was reborn. Ning Mengmeng instantly sat up excitedly, but the next moment. Hiss, she gasped. She was the only one left in the room. Ning Mengmeng still remembered that after he brought her back in her previous life, he was very cruel to her out of anger. And this time. She didn't know if it was because of her promise, or if there was a change in her trajectory after her rebirth, but he was actually much gentler. However, his departure still proved that he had a grudge against her. This time, they were only together because he was extremely angry and punished her. Ning Mengmeng took a deep breath. She had to control the situation before it became irreversible. She could not let the relationship that had just eased up be interfered with again. Ding! Ning Mengmeng picked up the phone on the bedside table when she heard the sound of a text message. She realized that it was the same phone she used before. I'll be waiting for you downstairs at 5 p.m. It was a short sentence and it seemed a little cold, but Ning Mengmeng's note was. Beloved, beloved Zihang. Ning Mengmeng gripped her phone tightly. Hatred rose in her eyes bit by bit. She sneered. It was exactly the same as before. In her previous life, she went to the dormitory building according to the text message. Su Zihang questioned her the moment he saw her and asked if she was already with Pei Yuchen. When she was in an extremely awkward situation because of this matter, he treated her well and said that he didn't blame her and that he was incompetent. Ning Mengmeng had felt guilty for a long time because of this incident and hated Pei Yuchen to the bone. But now, she realized that Su Zihang had done it on purpose. He had made her feel sorry for him and was willing to sacrifice herself for him. In her previous life, she was at this man's beck and call, but she did not know that he and Ning Yusher had joined forces to make use of her in every possible way. In the end, they even killed her personally. Ning Mengmeng was now certain that they were behind her car accident. Since she was reborn, she would never let them off. Absolutely not. As Ning Mengmeng adjusted her state of mind, she deleted Su Zihang's text message and contact information. She stood up and started to put on her clothes. After tidying herself up, she left the room and went downstairs. Miss Ning, you're awake. Ning Mengmeng's body stiffened slightly when she heard the respectful yet cold voice from behind her. She turned around with a smile and looked at the woman in blue sportswear. Aunt Qi, you can call me young madam from now on. Qi Shuhui was 40.5 years old. The corners of her eyes were already filled with fine lines. She was like the housekeeper here. She had good culinary skills and specially cooked for them. Moreover, she was also someone from the old mansion. Ning Mengmeng knew that in her previous life, Qi Shuhui did not like her because she had caused her own death. Qi Shuhui was surprised to see Ning Mengmeng's smiling face. She didn't expect to hear her say such words. Young madam. It had been a long time since she addressed her as such, but she was unfamiliar with it. Hey, Ning Mengmeng replied with a smile. Qi Shuhui was even more surprised. In the past, Ning Mengmeng didn't allow anyone to call her young madam, and they had to call her miss instead. Moreover, she had never been nice to anyone here, including young master. But today, seeing Qi Shuhui looking at her in disbelief, Ning Mengmeng sighed slightly and held her hand. Aunt Qi, it was my fault in the past. I've thought it through now. I only love my husband. In order to make Pei Yuchen hate her, she had tried all sorts of ways to court death, pretending to be willful and unreasonable. Everyone here knew that. However, even though she had gone overboard, Pei Yuchen still tolerated her. She could even feel his concern for her. Now that she thought about it, Ning Mengmeng really wanted to slap herself. She took a deep breath and smiled at Qi Shuhui. "Aunt Qi, is lunch ready? I want to send lunch to my husband." Chapter 3. You are listening at novelfull.audio. I can't take it anymore. Qi Shuhui was shocked, but she quickly nodded excitedly and rushed to the kitchen. All right, I'll install it for you now. Young madam, it's a good thing that you've changed your mind. Young master really loves you. Ning Mengmeng's eyes flashed with guilt, but she did not respond. When Ning Mengmeng stood at the entrance of the company, she paused and took a deep breath. Ning Mengmeng, in order to win him back, all the best. However, she had just stepped into the company when she heard the voices of discussion inside. Moreover, it was related to her husband. Ning Mengmeng stopped in her tracks. That's true. Why don't you take a look at what kind of person President Pei is? If I can marry him, I feel that I can have nothing in this life, as long as I have him. As long as he was around, it meant that he owned the entire world. There were two women standing at the front desk. They were both dressed appropriately. The one who spoke was the slightly taller one standing on the left. Meng Chenchen was holding a small mirror in her hand and applying lipstick. It was lunch break now, and basically no one came. The two of them relaxed a little. The other person was leaning on the front desk and looking at her with envy. Chen, you still have a chance if you work hard. After all, your father's company is also a listed company. You'll definitely come into contact with him in the future. Her father was a nouveau riche and spoiled Meng Chenchen. He even let her study abroad, but she was still useless. She had always liked Pei Yuchen, and her father had no choice. Fortunately, she was still good looking. He had pulled in many connections and managed to get her a position at the front desk. That way, at least she would have a chance to meet Pei Yuchen. Meng Chenchen put away her lipstick and mirror and smiled proudly. Of course, my father has already contacted him for a private meal. Another receptionist was so envious that she was about to cry. Wow! Your father is so amazing. Chen, I'm so envious of you. Meng Chenchen felt even better after being praised, but her expression was still as arrogant as ever. Ning Mengmeng was speechless. She couldn't take it anymore. There were women everywhere who were thinking about her husband. Then, she ignored them and walked in on her high heels. The two receptionists immediately saw Ning Mengmeng in a light blue dress walking in with a lunchbox. However, when they saw how exquisite she looked without makeup, jealousy flashed across Meng Chenchen's eyes. Even her tone was not very good. Who are you looking for? Ning Mengmeng sized up Meng Chenchen. She was mocking her and coveting her husband. Ning Mengmeng sighed in her heart. What if her husband was too likable? Pei Yuchen. However, Ning Mengmeng had just said these three words when the other party laughed. Do you have an appointment? Ning Mengmeng looked very calm and did not intend to talk too much with her. He knows me. I can go by myself. With that, Ning Mengmeng walked toward the elevator. Meng Chenchen quickly walked in front of her and blocked her way. Her expression was extremely cold. What a joke, how could she let this kinda be *tch in to see the CEO? There are so many people who want to see Boss Pei every day that they can't even see the end of the line. If they were all like you, the company would be trampled on by others. Ning Mengmeng was speechless. Because this woman liked Pei Yuchen, she was now rejecting her in all sorts of ways. Her husband was handsome, powerful, and rich. Anyone would have tried their best to get close to him. Only her brain had been kicked by a donkey. She abandoned such a good husband and chased after an illegitimate child all over the world. Was she King crazy previously? Chapter 4 You are listening at Novel Full. Audio. The duck in hand is about to fly away. Furthermore, in her previous life, in order to deepen Su Zihang's feelings for her, she had never come to Pei Yuchen's company before she stole the confidential information. She did not even publicize her relationship with Pei Yuchen because she was afraid that Su Zihang would feel uncomfortable and no one in the company would recognize her. Ning Mengmeng gritted her teeth, wishing she could slap herself right now. BL.net Meng Chenchen looked at the lunchbox that Ning Mengmeng was holding tightly and sneered. If you don't have an appointment, then hurry up and leave. There are plenty of people who want to give our CEO a lunch of love. Who do you think you are? The other receptionist also looked at her for a long time before sneering disdainfully. Why are there so many shameless people these days? Are they using such underhanded methods just because they can't get an appointment with Boss Pei? Meng Chenchen immediately sneered, her gaze wandering back and forth on Ning Mengmeng's face. Ning Mengmeng realized that she couldn't get in without an appointment, but the receptionist's attitude was obviously not good. She didn't want to waste her breath on the receptionist and took out her phone to call Pei Yuchen. After a few rings, the other party picked up. Hubby, the receptionist doesn't know me. Let me in. After Ning Mengmeng finished speaking, she noticed that the front desk lady's mouth twitched and she looked extremely speechless. There was a pause before an apologetic voice came through the receiver. Miss Ning, I'm sorry. The CEO is in a meeting right now. His phone is with me. I'll go downstairs to pick you up now. Although they didn't get along, Pei Yuchen's assistant, Sun Mo, knew that Ning Mengmeng was the woman in the CEO's heart. He didn't dare to neglect her. Ning Mengmeng's eyes flashed. Okay. After saying that, she hung up the phone. However, the next moment, there was a burst of laughter. The receptionist looked at Ning Mengmeng sarcastically, no longer as polite as before. She said in a sharp voice, Do you think you can fool me with a phone call? Hubby. Our boss Pei is single now. How could he have a woman? Why didn't you find someone reliable when you lied? Hurry up and get lost. If you don't leave, I'll call security. As she said that, the receptionist was really ready to call for help. Ning Mengmeng sighed helplessly in her heart. As expected, her husband was too popular. If she didn't keep a close eye on him, the duck in her hand might fly away very quickly. A certain CEO in the conference room had a tense expression on his face. He suddenly sneezed inadvertently, causing the person reporting the work to tremble. President. Did you catch a cold? Pei Yuchen's expression was cold. His black suit made him look extremely handsome, but because of his cold face, he looked a little serious, making people not dare to look at him. He suddenly raised his sharp eyes and looked at the supervisor who was reporting the work. The supervisor was so scared that his body trembled and he did not dare to hesitate. He continued to report. Little did he know that Ning Mengmeng downstairs was about to turn into a stone. The receptionist's noisy voice pierced Ning Mengmeng's eardrums. Security! Security! The security guards who were standing nearby had been paying attention to their movements. When they heard the shout, they quickly walked forward and gestured for Ning Mengmeng to leave. Madam, please leave. His attitude was cold, but his tone was more or less polite. Ning Mengmeng knew that the security guards were only following orders, so she just smiled at them naturally. Wait a little longer. Sun Mo will come down to pick me up in a while. Meng Chenchen looked at Ning Mengmeng as if she was looking at an idiot. This woman was crazy. Why did she dare to say such big words? Seeing that Ning Mengmeng was really confident, she laughed coldly. Stop pretending, okay? Who is Sun Mo? He's Boss Pei's personal assistant. Where did you get so much face to let assistant Sun pick you up? Who do you think you are? Chapter 5 You are listening at Novel Full. Audio. Face slapping with strength, Ning Meng Meng looked up and sized up the lady at the front desk. Seeing that she wanted to eat her up, she just smiled slightly and said in a good temper like before, I'm Pei Yuchen's wife. Meng Qianqian was really pissed off by Ning Meng Meng. She slammed the table. Do you have 13 faces? Why would Boss Pei fall for a woman who pretends to be innocent like you? Meng Qianqian sized her up. What kind of joke was this woman? Big stars, models, and socialites with high status could not even think of Boss Pei. Who was she? Ning Meng Meng blinked. Pretending to be innocent. She was clearly pure. She was still a second-year student. She was just 20 years old this year. Meng Qianqian did not vent her anger enough. She looked angrily at the security guard standing beside Ning Meng Meng and shouted, What are you two still standing there for? Why aren't you chasing this lunatic out? She even dared to impersonate Boss Pei's wife. She must have escaped from the mental hospital. Meng Qianqian clearly wanted to say something, but just as she opened her mouth, she suddenly heard footsteps. The few of them turned around and immediately saw Sun Mo, who looked about 1.8 meters tall in a suit, walking over quickly. Under the gold-rimmed glasses, his eyes were clearly cold. Meng Qianqian and the security guard were dumbfounded. Could it be? Was it really as this woman said? Meng Qianqian took a deep breath. No. Impossible. Executive Assistant Sun must be passing by. Besides, Boss Pei did not have a wife. At the thought of this, Meng Qianqian walked forward confidently and restored her sweet image. Executive Assistant Sun, you came at the right time. This woman, as she spoke, she quickly pointed at Ning Meng Meng, who was standing coldly at the side with a lunchbox in her right hand. It's her. She shamelessly said that she's Boss Pei's wife and that you're here to pick her up personally. I can't chase her away even if I chase her away. Executive Assistant Sun, look, Sun Mo's expression turned even colder. His piercing gaze was like a knife cutting through her face, making Meng Qianqian's face hurt. The other receptionist was so scared that she did not dare to speak. Sun Mo had been by Pei Yuchen's side for a few years. It was obvious that he had been led by Boss Pei and had gained a lot of momentum. Meng Qianqian panicked. She quickly shook her head and explained, Executive Assistant Sun, you've misunderstood. I really did try my best to chase her away, but she's the one who refused to leave. You. Don't worry, I'll chase her out now. After saying that, she stepped into her 10-centimeter high heels. However, just as she took 2 steps, she heard Sun Mo's cold voice enter her ears. Go to the finance department to settle your salary now. Get out. Meng Qianqian stopped in her tracks, and the smug smile in her eyes disappeared. Instead, she turned around and looked at Sun Mo in disbelief. Executive Assistant Sun, you, Sun Mo didn't even look at her. He quickly walked to Ning Meng Meng's side and said respectfully, Young madam, I'm sorry. It's my fault. Shall we, go up now? Ning Meng Meng's eyes flashed. Sun Mo had also been requested by her before, so he had never called her young madam. This time, it was probably for Meng Qianqian and the others to hear. And his words had a great effect. That was because Ning Meng Meng actually saw them opening their mouths wide in unison, especially Meng Qianqian, who did not have a beautiful image at all. Ning Meng Meng only nodded at Sun Mo, sorry to trouble you. Sun Mo was polite and pushed up the gold-rimmed glasses on the bridge of his nose. Young madam, you're too polite. This is what I should do. Meng Qianqian's expression changed drastically. Was she really Boss Pei's wife? Logically speaking, Sun Mo shouldn't have lied, but she still didn't believe it. She didn't want to believe it. She quickly recovered, and her face was filled with disbelief and unwillingness. She walked forward quickly in her high heels and blocked their way, staring straight at Sun Mo. Executive Assistant Sun, could she be your relative? How could she be Boss Pei's wife? Chapter 6 You are listening at novelfull.audio. I only cherish the present. Sun Mo's expression turned cold. He did not give her any face at all and said coldly, from today onwards, none of the Pei family's businesses will hire you. If you dare to look down on others again, you should know Boss Pei's methods. Meng Qianqian was completely dumbfounded. This time, she did not dare to be arrogant. Her eyes were filled with pleading, and her body was trembling. Executive Assistant Sun. No, young madam, I was wrong. I really know my mistake. Meng Qianqian slapped herself across the face. Young madam, I can't lose this job. I was the one who looked down on others. I'm the crazy one. Please be magnanimous and don't lower yourself to the level of a small fry like me. Young madam, please give me this chance. I was wrong. I really know. The other receptionist was dumbfounded. She stood at the side, trembling, not daring to say a word. Ning Mengmeng watched as her face quickly swelled up and knew that she had used a lot of strength. However, Ning Mengmeng had never been a saint. Would she be kind enough to keep her when she was bullied? The front desk could be considered the face of a company. Pei Yuchen's company could not keep such quality. She smiled slightly. I'm sorry, I think the front desk needs to be replaced. Meng Qianqian's eyes flashed with malice. What are you pretending for? She was now the CEO's wife. Who knew who she would be in the future? She was dressed like a flirtatious SL*T. She had to climb into the CEO's bed many times before she could get him. But now, she had no choice but to lower her head and slap herself again. One slap is not enough. Young madam, please tell me. I can give you as many slaps as you want. I beg you, please don't chase me away. Ever since she became a receptionist, she had been bragging to countless relatives, friends, and classmates. If she was suddenly fired now, how would everyone think of her in the future? Sun Mo glanced at the security guard coldly. The security guard instantly reacted. This time, the two of them no longer held back and dragged the receptionist away. Meng Qianqian struggled furiously and pushed the two men away with both hands. However, they each held one of her arms, so she had no ability to resist. Her eyes were filled with anger. We're all women. Why are you making things difficult for me? Do you think you can always stay by the CEO's side? Ning Mengmeng's eyes trembled. She suddenly remembered that she had only stayed by Pei Yuchen's side for 3 years in her previous life. She immediately clenched the lunchbox in her hand and elegantly turned to smile at the woman who was looking at her with hatred. No matter what happens in the future, I only cherish the present. After saying that, she didn't turn her head back, nor did she care about the screams of the woman behind her. She followed Sun Mo to the CEO's private elevator and reached the top floor. Ning Mengmeng followed Sun Mo all the way to Pei Yuchen's exclusive office. Sun Mo opened the door for Ning Mengmeng and said respectfully to Ning Mengmeng, Xiao Ning, call me young madam from now on. Before he could finish speaking, Ning Mengmeng interrupted him. A hint of surprise flashed across Sun Mo's eyes, but he quickly recovered. Okay, young madam. This meeting is very important, so, Sun Mo didn't say anything else this time, but his dragging voice clearly meant that he couldn't be disturbed. Ning Mengmeng's personality had always been domineering, so Sun Mo wasn't sure. Ning Mengmeng nodded understandingly. Alright, go ahead then. I'll wait for him here. Sun Mo was even more surprised this time. Could it be? Did she have something to ask the CEO? After some thought, Sun Mo spoke again. Boss Pei is in a bad mood because of some matters in the company today. Therefore, young madam, please be careful later. I'll go back to my work first. Please go ahead. Ning Mengmeng watched as Sun Mo left and closed the door without waiting for her reply. She sighed softly. Sigh, it was so convenient to attract haters. When it came to clearing her name, it really depended on time. However, 10 minutes passed. 30 minutes. An hour later. When Pei Yu-chen returned to his office after the meeting, he saw a petite figure curled up on the sofa, sleeping soundly. Chapter 7. You are listening at NovelFull.audio. Never let go, never let go. There was a lunchbox on the coffee table opposite her. Pei Yu-chen was surprised. To deliver food to him. Seeing that she was about to fall down at any moment, Pei Yu-chen walked forward and picked her up. Pei Yu-chen's actions were very gentle. Looking at the person sleeping peacefully in his arms, his gaze gradually softened. The fierce aura that he had before entering the office instantly faded. He had just placed Ning Mengmeng on the bed in the lounge when she woke up. Feeling the man's familiar scent, she pulled Pei Yu-chen back without thinking. The man was dressed in a suit and leather shoes. He looked to be at least 1.85 meters tall. He had a sapphire blue tie on his collar, which matched the blue dress he was wearing today. His shoulders were wide and his waist was narrow. He had the figure of a woman's dream lover. In addition, she had touched his perfect abs last night. Ning Mengmeng resisted the urge to pounce on him. As she looked up, the man's handsome face was the type that people would never get tired of looking at. Under his thick eyebrows was a pair of unromantic peach blossom eyes, and under his high nose bridge was a pair of sexy thin lips. His facial features were outstanding, and when put together, he looked like a god. Coupled with his somewhat cold temperament, it made people feel a sense of distance that could not be reached, but it was also so d*mn crazy. Hubby, she had just woken up, and her eyes were still a little dazed. Her soft voice almost melted Pei Yu-chen's heart. However, when he thought about how she might be doing this for that man, his expression turned cold. Let go. Ning Mengmeng woke up instantly, sat up, and hugged the man's waist. I won't let go. You just slept with me yesterday. Don't even think about getting rid of me today. Pei Yu-chen was speechless. Ning Mengmeng hugged the man's waist tightly and pressed her face against his back. At the same time, she placed her hands near his belt. However, the next moment, she seemed to have thought of something and immediately let go of the man. Pei Yu-chen's eyes flashed with cold mockery as he walked out. Ning Mengmeng quickly got off the bed and hurried out. Her speed was obviously faster than Pei Yu-chen. Looking at her petite figure, Pei Yu-chen pursed his lips tightly. Hubby, did you just finish a meeting? Have you not had lunch yet? I brought anti-cheese cooking. I'll heat it up for you now. Ning Mengmeng rubbed her eyes and pulled him to wash their hands together. Then, they walked out step by step. Pei Yu-chen looked at Ning Mengmeng's busy figure and was not moved at all. When he saw her smiling and bringing the food to his table, he suddenly laughed coldly. If you have something to say, just say it. Do you think it's useful to deliberately curry favor? Pei Yu-chen's cold eyes stared straight at her, making her feel flustered. Ning Mengmeng was slightly startled, but she sat down beside him in a moment. She hugged his arm and rested her head on his shoulder. She looked up at the man's side profile and smiled ingratiatingly. I like a bag from a brand store. Can you buy it for me? Ning Mengmeng knew that if she did not mention anything, he would definitely think that she was a hypocrite. After all, she had done so many stupid things. Ning Mengmeng felt that it was unrealistic for him to believe her all of a sudden. He gave her a fixed allowance of 100,000 yuan every month, but she was a prodigal and sometimes gave it all to that man, so she had no money now. Pei Yu-chen frowned slightly, but his suspicions were dispelled. You're so nice just for a bag. Chapter 8. You are listening at NovelFull.audio. Hubby, can we not divorce? Ning Mengmeng picked up a pair of chopsticks and placed them in front of him. I'm so hungry. Let's eat together. Pei Yu-chen's brows, which had not relaxed, furrowed even more. He looked at her disapprovingly. Why didn't you eat first if you're hungry? Ning Meng Meng lifted her eyes slightly, the corner of her eyes turning warm. He was indeed concerned about her. I was waiting for you, she said with a smile. She blinked her bright eyes gently, as if there were thousands of miles of stars in them, but it was all about him. Because the more she looked at him, the more she felt that her husband was the galaxy. Hubby, I've done a lot of foolish things in the past. I'm not asking you to believe me now, but time will prove it. Are you willing to give me a chance to atone for my sins? She was still holding her chopsticks in front of him. Pei Yuchen subconsciously took it but did not say anything. However, only he knew that his heart was moved. He had always given her chances, countless chances. Ning Meng Meng still remembered that one day, 3 years later, when they were going to get a divorce, he had personally sent her to Su Ziheng. However, she saw Su Ziheng being lovey-dovey with another woman, and she even heard Su Ziheng's sarcasm. It was also that day that she got into a car accident and was sent to the hospital on the same day. In just an hour, her good sister personally removed her oxygen mask. He did not know. In her previous life, did this man know that she had such a miserable ending? If he knew, he would probably mock her fiercely. Forget it. She had hurt him so deeply in her previous life. Could she still expect him to be sincere to her after the divorce? Ning Meng Meng approached the man and wrapped her arms around his waist. Chen, no matter what, we'll never get a divorce. Don't abandon me, okay? The man was stunned. He didn't miss a single word of her words. He heard them all in the deepest part of his heart. He lowered his head slightly and looked at Ning Meng Meng's flawless little face that was looking at him. Out of the blue, he answered softly. All right. His magnetic voice made Ning Meng Meng's eyes light up, and even the curve of her lips quickly widened. She quickly nodded solemnly, okay. This is what you said, if you dare to abandon me. I'll definitely haunt you for the rest of my life. I'll haunt you even as a ghost. Pei Yuchen frowned when he heard the last sentence. What nonsense are you talking about? Although he reprimanded her, Ning Meng Meng could still see the slight smile on his lips. She was instantly satisfied. She let go of the man, picked up her chopsticks, and picked up a few dishes for him. Before she came, she had specially asked Aunt Chi what he liked to eat. She did not know in the past, but she was willing to spend the rest of her life to understand. I'm so hungry. Let's eat quickly. The man was slightly stunned. He felt like he was dreaming. Why did Ning Meng Meng's personality suddenly change so drastically? Yesterday, he thought that Ning Meng Meng said those words because she was afraid of pain. He did not expect her to come to the office today. She never came here to avoid suspicion. But now, not only was she here, but she had also personally admitted that she was his wife downstairs. It would be a lie to say that he was not surprised. At least, Pei Yuchen was satisfied that she dared to announce that she was his wife. Which bag do you like? Tell Sun Mo to buy it for you after dinner. Ning Meng Meng smiled happily and nodded. Her eyes were so beautiful when she squinted that Pei Yuchen was dazzled. However, his cold face did not change much as he lowered his head to eat. The two of them didn't have much interaction. Ning Meng Meng only walked to Pei Yuchen's side after she had finished eating and gargled her mouth. Thank you, hubby. The soft voice sounded in his ears again. Before Pei Yuchen could react, Ning Meng Meng sat on his lap, hugged his neck, and kissed him on the lips. Chapter 9. You are listening at NovelFull.audio. Unromantic. Pei Yuchen's eyes quivered, but Ning Meng Meng was not like a dragonfly touching the surface of the water. However, because she was not familiar with him, she felt a little awkward and could only close her eyes with a red face. Pei Yuchen found it funny but did not say anything. However, Ning Meng Meng was lying on his shoulder, her little face flustered. She did not dare to look at the man and only whispered into his ear, I'm still in pain. She turned her head around and could not see the man from the corner of her eyes. She rested her head on the man's shoulder. Pei Yuchen's face stiffened. He turned around and saw that Ning Mengmeng's ears were extremely red. His eyes flashed with guilt. I'll get someone to buy medicine for you. Ning Mengmeng was speechless. She didn't do it for this. She was flirting. But this man. He really didn't understand the romance at all. Humph. She suddenly couldn't say the rest of her words. Forget it, forget it. She shouldn't eat until she's fat. She would just stay like this for the time being. She would take it slow. Ning Mengmeng took a deep breath. Her face was so red that it was almost cooked. She did not even look at this man. Her eyes flickered. I still have class at 3 o'clock. I'll leave first. Ning Mengmeng took her bag and hurried out. Pei Yuchen's lips curled into a rare smile. However, he heard someone knocking on the door. Enter. Sun Imo walked in with a stack of documents. Boss Pei, I found the documents you asked me to look for. Please take a look. Pei Yuchen casually took the documents but was not in a hurry to read them. His expression had long returned to its previous coldness. Go and investigate what Ning Mengmeng has been doing recently. Ning Mengmeng came to school as usual, but only she knew how excited she was. She could actually return to school. God gave her a chance to atone for her sins and let her start over. She was so touched that she was about to cry. Ning Mengmeng took a deep breath, but just as she entered the door, she heard a coquettish voice from behind. Ning Mengmeng. Ning Mengmeng's body stiffened slightly, and her eyes flashed with hatred. She was her roommate and Su Zihang's half-sister. Ning Mengmeng retracted her thoughts and turned to look at Su Miaomiao, who had jogged to her side. She was wearing a white short-sleeved shirt and a light blue skirt. She held her textbook in her left hand and hugged Ning Mengmeng's arm intimately as soon as she arrived. Mengmeng, it's really you. Why are you here so early today? You're the king of scouting in our class. Ning Mengmeng gritted her teeth. In her previous life, she had thought that she was in a trance when she was hit by a car, and that she had seen wrongly. But now, she was completely sure that the female driver who hit her was this woman in front of her. Very well, she would think of a way to take revenge on these enemies one by one. Su Zihang, Su Miaomiao, and her good sister, Ning Yushe. Just wait, she would not let any of them off. Ning Mengmeng tried her best to control her emotions and walked forward quietly. Nothing happened today. Su Miaomiao didn't notice anything unusual and nodded. Oh, well, yesterday, you and my brother. Did he do anything to you after he took you away? Mengmeng, are you all right? She was naturally referring to Pei Yuchen. In her previous life, she had thought that Su Miaomiao was concerned about her, but this time, Ning Mengmeng did not miss the probing look in Su Miaomiao's eyes, and that touch of jealousy. Chapter 10 You are listening at novelfull.audio. Dark Cloud she had already seen through their scheme after her rebirth, and she now understood that the person Su Miaomiao liked had always been her husband. Ning Mengmeng chuckled. What else can he do? Of course he will punish me. Su Miaomiao's eyes flashed with pride, but her face was filled with worry. Ah! How did he punish you? Mengmeng, are you injured? Ning Mengmeng nodded seriously. I'm injured. I feel like my whole body is falling apart. Her wounds were covered in strawberry marks. Su Miaomiao blinked and didn't seem to be able to react. No wonder she walked so slowly. Instantly, the heartache on her face intensified. What did he do to you? He's too much. He can't be compared to my brother. Mengmeng, it's about time. Divorce him. Otherwise, how much suffering will you suffer in the future? This is domestic violence. How did he treat you? Ning Meng Meng looked at Su Miaomiao's angry yet distressed expression. A man punishes a woman. What other punishment do you think can be given besides in bed? Su Miaomiao was stunned. She even subconsciously let go of Ning Mengmeng's hand. However, the next moment, her face turned extremely gloomy. Brother Pei touched her. No. This was impossible. Meng Meng, she was obviously going to ask, but Ning Meng Meng had already stepped into the classroom. Su Miaomiao could only grit her teeth and hold back the anger in her heart. No. She absolutely could not let their relationship improve. Regardless of whether Ning Meng Meng was lying to her or not, she had to prevent it before it happened. At the thought of this, she took out her phone. Pei Yuchen's phone rang as he was reading the agreement. He glanced at it and saw the contents. His face darkened after a few hours of peace. It read. Brother Pei, Meng Meng seems to have an appointment with my brother at 5 o'clock. My brother has never had the intention to destroy your family, but she always complained to my brother about how you treated her badly and how my brother was too kind to protect her. I'm Meng Meng's good friend, so I shouldn't say this. However, I feel that it's unfair for Brother Pei to not know anything, so you can come to the school at 5 o'clock to verify it yourself. Su Miaomiao put down her phone with a smug look in her eyes. She wanted to see if Brother Pei would still touch this woman when he saw her flirting with another man. As for Ning Meng Meng, she had no idea what Su Miaomiao had done. Instead, she was still reading the textbook in her hand and listening to the teacher attentively. She majored in film and television. In her previous life, Su Zihong told her that he didn't like her being an actress, so she gave up on her dreams and stopped paying attention to class. It was even more common for her to skip class. But in this life, she would not be bewitched by them. She wanted to work hard for her dreams and develop her career. When the people around her saw her sudden change of attitude, they were all a little surprised. Most of them thought that she was just putting on an act. Ning Meng Meng didn't care about everyone's gaze. When she heard the bell signaling the end of class, she immediately put away her textbook. In her previous life, she did not go to class at all. She had already gone to the dormitory to wait for that man. In this life, she would also go to the dormitory because she needed to retrieve some things. Here. It was a necessary path. However, it was only 4:30. If she was a little faster, she probably wouldn't see anyone. Su Miaomiao saw that Ning Meng Meng had no intention of waiting for her, so she quickly chased after her. Meng Meng, wait for me. Why are you walking so fast?